What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? We're down here at ICAST 2024 in Orlando, Florida. Me and world-renowned angler Jacob Wheeler over here at the Rapala Crush City booth. The first thing we're going to talk about is something that I saw a picture posted a few months back on Instagram of this guy right here holding up this exact bait. I looked over the internet for weeks, months, trying to figure out what it was. It's finally here, the Mooch Minnow. And I'm sure you have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, so obviously we have this guy right here. We call it, me and DC, it's like we call him Moochie. Oh, Moochie.
Oh, Moochie.
So Mooch Minnow's awesome. We actually, collectively between us two and several guys have had them, we've won $600,000 on them already to this point. So Dale Hollow was one on it. Obviously Red Crest was one on it, and then, just Toledo Bend. So there's a lot of, it's just a really good bait and profile. Like it's a smallmouth, largemouth, obviously spotted bass as well. So collectively, the big thing, minnow style baits, obviously with the Freeloader last year, killed it, caught a lot of big fish on it. This bait is different with the material that we have. It's TPE, and you're gonna see it, obviously it stretches, and it's so really durable, but also floats well, and it's like real buoyant. So that's really important there, as well as when you look at this bait, this is the increased version of this tab on the back, okay? This is the thing. I didn't want like a swim bait, because you have too much stability, okay? When you have too big a tail, you have too much stability to where that bait won't roll. So I want this rolling action, but like a Freeloader has, but I also wanted a high frequency kick that wasn't gonna hinder that bait from getting down there to the fish as well. So that's where you have these tabs right back here. When you look at a shad swimming in the water, it swims at a high frequency. It's not this big giant kick back and forth. So that was especially a small bait fish
for sure
that you're actually trying to imitate. So a small bait fish doesn't have that big giant wag, because he just has that real high frequency. So that was the main deal there. But pairing it up with like a VMC tungsten jig head, like the key is if you want, there's two actions in one. It has a good rolling action if you shake it, like you would like shaking a minnow. In addition to that, but if you want less stability, you just cut those tabs off, and and it exaggerates the rolling action.
Right on.
So it's really simple, really easy, but it's a great bait. And I mean, this is the other thing. Not just limited to a jig head, not just limited to a forward-facing sonar, phenomenal drop shot bait, and do not sleep on this bait for a Ned bait. Absolute killer on a Ned bait. Stands up in A3/16. It's up there. It's a bad little dude, and it's cool to have it back out here.
Oh, Moochie.
Oh, Moochie.
That's awesome. The bait that's won hundreds of thousands of dollars bass fishing, the Rapala Crush City Mooch Minnow, available now on Tackle Warehouse for pre-order. All right, guys, up next, Rapala Crush City. This is one I myself am super, super excited about. I've been looking a long time for a hog-style creature bait, this size, this profile, and this quality of color. This is the Rapala Crush City Hedgehog.
So I got the supersized version, the Texas version, that is,
Everything's bigger in Texas.
You gotta watch out for that, So this is the thing. Realistically, for me, on all these baits, everything has to perform flawlessly. So we went through several different variations of this bait, and down here towards the tails, I wanted to make sure this bottom end would swim at slow speed. So up to, like, if I'm pitching with an 1/8 ounce weight, if I'm on the river system or anything like that, I want those appendages to always be consistent, whether I'm on a Carolina rig and it's weightless or anything like that. All these appendages have to work together. Yeah. But that was the thing, it's super slow speeds, I can barely move that, and those things just consistently kick. Now your side appendages, where you actually have these upside down curvature, like that's always in a quiver. Every time you pull that on a Carolina rig, or it's gonna quiver, or on a Texas rig, it's gonna quiver, and it's a secondary action in addition to what we have there. And then of course your top, where you have that little flutter. So you have a little bit of everything, and it all work together. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, through the different stuff we were trying to make, I'm like, I was like, well, do all this, and we worked on it, and I played with it, and it all worked in the pool. I'm like, print it. This thing's freaking awesome. It catches a lot of fish. And last but not least is you have this tech-exposing platform right here on the top. This is really your raised rib section. It's not as thick, obviously, as the main body, so it allows for you to tech-expose a EWG or straight shank hook, or round bend hook, and put it in there, and then it's easier for that hook to pop out and have a good hook set. I think that's really the key. Obviously, the colors are phenomenal, but this bait is something that is going to work on a lot of different techniques, but it's a perfect size for a river fish, but it's also a great one for all around, wherever you're at, it just gets bit.
That's awesome. He's getting me all jacked up talking about river fishing. Might have to get out of here and go find something to
Hey,
cast in
we
here
might have
shortly.
to go. I don't know if there's many rivers in Orlando right now, but we might not have much
There's
water.
canal system
We
here
got
and
some
there.
canal
We'll
system.
figure it out.
We
We'll
might
figure it
have to
out.
make it work.
That is the new Rapala Crush City Hedgehog, available now at Tackle Warehouse for pre-order. Make sure you guys head on over to the website and check them out. All right, guys. Up next, something that I throw a lot of is a worm. It's plain, flat and simple, catches fish no matter where you are, no matter the time of the year. And for a long time, I've been looking for something to kind of fill that gap between, you know, your typical soft stick baits and your finesse worms and something like that. We're talking about the Rapala Crush City Pig Stick.
And sticking them pigs.
Sticking
now.
them
Come
pigs.
on now. Now this is the thing. Okay, there's a lot of pig sticks on the market, right? And so for me, like fundamentally, well, we want to make a stick worm. I'm like, all right, well, we got to make sure everything works flawlessly. So instantly, when I set out to make this, first I'm going to go to the pool. I'm like, I want the first one. I'm like, I want that thing. Of course, when you think of like a stick worm, I'm thinking like weightless, wacky worm. You want that really good action. So the first thing I wanted to make sure is that bait had a phenomenal action. It has that really good shimmy to it, and it's very consistent, and that's like, it's awesome. But in addition to that, because we've added more salt to make that happen, it made it one of the faster falling stick worms on the market. So I can fish this bait weightless deeper than a lot of other stick worms on the market. Allows me, and knowing that action's consistent as well. Also because it's a little bit bigger profile, and it has a little bit more of a presence. So for my guys who are forward-facing sonar fishermen, like utilizing that, you can look at this and you can actually see it better. And because it has more weight, it actually makes it easier to cast, skip around, use on a bait caster, and everything else. So that's something that ultimately for me, this bait is top notch. And for my friends that like the crossover rings from VMC, that crossover ring's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, and it really will secure your bait to where you can Nico rig this, or obviously wacky rig this, and then you can put that crossover ring right there on that band, and you're ready to roll. It locks it in place, and it's just a bad little dude.
Awesome. I'm excited to get my hands on some of these. Might have to talk to Wheeler, maybe some of the guys at Rapala Crush City, see if I can get some.
I got a
to
few
test
for
out.
you.
Thank you. We'll get it taken care of. All good. That is the new Rapala Crush City Pig Stick, available now for pre-order at tacklewarehouse.com. All right, up next, we're going to be talking about something that has been clean sweeping the bass. That is the Rapala Crush City Janitor worm. I'm super stoked about this. Great looking little worm here, finesse style worm. Super excited to throw it.
I think the biggest thing is you have to have more of that finesse style worm in your arsenal. Someone asked me today, give me your top 3 baits if you had for the rest of your career, what would it be? I said one of them would definitely be a janitor, just because how versatile it is.
Yep.
Not only is it a great drop shot bait, and really when I love really like Texas rigging a drop shot. And so for me, Texposing that, like maybe a one-off finesse Nico hook and pitching around, the thing is when it falls and it hits the bottom, that bait glides a lot. So on a slack line, it'll glide, and when those fish go down there to your bait, or they run out and you're pitching around some wood, they follow down to it, and that thing's gliding around, and that's when they actually trigger that bite. So that's a great drop shot bait. Of course, phenomenal shaky head worm. Shaky heads, big deal all around the country. Fish a lot of fish. Definitely good for a shaky head. And in addition to that, Nico rigging, they had this crossover ring band where you could put that crossover ring band right there for Nico rigging. And that was something that, like, all of these things are great. And we added methylate just for all the floating worm fans. Yeah. So you really have multiple options in one bait.
Absolutely.
And that's like, I love those baits that you can put in your box and you know, hey, look, I have multiple different presentations that I can use. I can switch this up and fish it from clear water to stained water to, different applications, and trigger those fish in the bottom just about how you're rigging it.
Yep.
And that's really the biggest thing. And then last but not least, having the raised ribs in this section right here allows for that good Texposing as well. I'm great for a little pitching worm on an 1/8 ounce weight with Texas rigging as well. And those ribs actually trap air. So when it hits the bottom, those air bubbles pop out, come up, and another triggering mechanism.
Absolutely.
So that's always little stuff that helps. And it's a bad little dude, I'm telling you. When you see the underwaters of it and how well it glides, I think that's what separates this worm from a lot of other ones out there in the market.
Absolutely. I'm a big Lake Lanier guy, spotted bass guy. I'm excited to take this home, catch some of those big pig belly spots on this thing. It'll work all across the country. This is that new Rapala Crush City Janitor worm. It's available now on tacklewarehouse.com for pre-order. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, we've got a bunch of new colors and even a few new sizes. We got some new colors in the Bronco bugs, the Freeloaders, the BLTs, even a little Mayor new size.
Yeah, some good stuff. So I mean, of course, the Freeloader was crazy. The craze for the Freeloader craze. So we've added some colors into this guy. Your electric shads, your shads, you know, your perch. In addition to that, I got to show my favorite one, the green pumpkin disco. Come on, y'all! Like that is absolutely gorgeous.
I'd eat that.
I mean, I would too. I know we'd be like, we'd be over there at the release ramp there too.
Absolutely.
Sitting right there, right next to that dock, waiting for the next
100%.
one to cast by. But this one's absolutely phenomenal. Some really good colors. We had to add a few, and that was definitely on the Freeloader side. On the more of the BLT side, you know, your electric shads. Right here, we add them a really good shad pattern. Your green pumpkin goby, of course, your ox blood red flake. And then into more of your black, a traditional black, your smallmouth fisherman. Blacks are underrated color, and we had to add that into the BLT. And then you jump over to like, hey, the Bronco bug, tilapia magic, red craw, chili craw, white, and now white, low-key, sleeper. Now listen,
Big time.
Sleeper on a buzzbait.
Oh.
Bronco bug sleeper on a buzzbait.
Speaking
Put it on the
my
back
language,
of it.
man.
I'm telling you, sneaky. Don't tell nobody about that. And then of course, like sprayed grass for a lot of my fishermen that love like a bluegill side of feel.
Yeah.
Like that's a great bluegill color. And so those are really the rundown on the new colors. But then of course, we got the little mayor. I call him like he's like a little gangster, the little mayor,
Absolutely,
the little
yeah.
mayor. You know what I'm saying? You call him like little mayor. Lil Mayor.
Lil, L-I-L.
A Lil Mayor. So that's him right there. He's obviously the perfect size to match that hatch of anything you're trying to really, a small profile. And it's just like, you know, like the Trevor McKinney had a great tournament on the Open up there on St. Clair, had almost a 27-pound bag or 28-pound bag of smallmouth up there, you know, on this bait. So it's a bait that's been proven that its profile is awesome when there's fishing on smaller bait, or if they're just pressured and you're trying to generate a bite.
Yep.
Or if you're just out there trying to get bit. This is the profile that gets bites. And like, man, with the pressure going more and more on a lot of our fisheries, downsizing is a huge deal. And that little mare is gonna catch it.
That's the deal right there. I was eyeing that even as we walked up. We had a conversation. I'm super stoked for that little size. Obviously, all the new baits, all the new colors, all the new sizes as well. That's gonna go ahead and wrap us up here for Rapala Crush City. We've got a bunch of different stuff here, all available on Tackle Warehouse for pre-order. And man, we can't thank Jacob Wheeler enough, the absolute legend of a fisherman here, to go ahead and stop by and show us what is up on these Crush City baits. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you all.